Hello, and welcome to Locutors of Trek, the podcast where we talk about the people, places, and things of Star Trek. So, replicate yourself a Romulan ale or your synth selection of choice, and join us far beyond the stars.
Locutors of Trek.
Program initiated. Enter when ready.
Space, the final frontier. Its vastness confounds us. The distances to anywhere dismay us. But our first probes have recently left our own star system, out beyond the heliopause into interstellar space, out into a great, big, vast span, through which we've noted only one visitor so far, the interstellar object Oumuamua. Today, that's our topic. The big out there, the final frontier, space.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
This is Dave.
And I'm Devin.
We're the Locutors of Trek.
And plain simple Tailors. And it's been a while since we've seen and talked to you all, dear auditors. So perhaps first we should address the space between ourselves and our dear listeners.
Sure.
We've been busy. We've been busy in our hectic lives.
Yeah.
I've been moving. We've been doing the odd segment, Debate 9 for you all, but it's been a long time coming to get a regular
It has.
classic Locutors of Trek episode.
Indeed. In the ancient traditions of Locutors.
But we're excited.
Yeah, no, it's
talking
a pretty
to you all
hectic
again.
time. It's true.
Mhm.
I am glad to get back at it, though. It's good to be here.
And we have a thematic Star Trek podcast, and it only took us, 17, 18 to get to space?
What is the final frontier? We had to go a while to get there.
We start with communication, not space.
That's right. Close to the heart.
But before we get into the weeds on space travel, space anomalies, other spacious things, we thought we would do our top 5 planets we would like to visit.
1, 2, 3.
Now, I didn't make this clear, Dave, but I hoped that it would go without saying that I was thinking somewhere roughly in the 23rd, 24th century range.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The general kind of realm of our ruminations.
Yeah. Do you want to kick us off?
Sure. I think for me, one of the places that I would most like to see is 40 Eridani A.
What is 40 Eridani A?
That is a system better known in Star Trek parlance as Vulcan.
Okay.
It's, as it happens, and I probably mentioned this before, 40 Eridani A actually has a planet which might be in the habitable zone of its own star. So there may actually be a Vulcan out there. You never know. Who knows if there's Vulcans on it or if it hasn't just, like Earth has multiple times, grown crabs. But
I think I heard a similar thing about Konos as well.
Oh, really? Oh,
Where
right
they
on.
think that would be, yeah.
Oh,
anyway, that could
that'd
be
be
just confusing things.
Yeah.
What draws you to Vulcan?
Really like to see. Even if it's got a bit higher gravity and I need to take, what are they, trioxyplane or injections to make sure that my blood could handle it and all that sort of stuff, I think I'd still like to see it.
You'd have calves of steel by the time you came back.
Oh, that's for sure.
And perhaps even buns of steel.
A bodyweight workout would be no mean feat at that point.
No, just in a desert with double the gravity.
Yeah. What can you bench press? Myself.
But apparently there's a sea, but it's probably very salty and very shallow.
Yeah, I think so.
Just like a Vulcan. Oh! That's why we have canceled on Vulcan is a couple episodes ago.
That's right.
I'm always getting myself in trouble with the Vulcans.
Can't get no respect on Vulcan.
Get no respect on Vulcan, no.
Yeah. All
Well,
right, what's on your list, number 5?
Number 5 for me was I can't believe I'm saying this because winter just ended, but Andor.
Oh,
I think it's very interesting how they have their kind of subterranean infrastructure in society.
oh yeah,
I just want to see how that would work, and it looks pretty in what we've seen in Enterprises and
yeah.
stuff. I mean, I'm more of an outdoorsy kind of guy, so it seems a little. I mean, I would take a little trip off to the surface too. Why not go see the Enar and those caves and stuff? It's
As long
just
as you
very
don't take
different,
those worms.
and it's like has the majesty of the Canadian Arctic, but then you can go down into this crazy subterranean world, which
Yeah, I wish we'd see more of
I
that
just
in
think
the
it would be so
NFL.
alien, you know.
Yeah, I think it'd be fascinating. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus, Andorians are a good time.
The pink skin sense of humor.
Oh yeah, sure, sure. See a nice duel or two would be great.
Yeah, get in one.
Go on a sled ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that'd be great fun.
I'd wear a coat, a thick coat,
That's
Made
probably a good idea.
made from Klingon saber bear.
Pure Klingon down. It's amazing how much you can harvest from only one Klingon. Oh,
From a winter saber bear.
that sounds nice and warm.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, number
Thank you.
4 planet. For me, number 4 planet would be Bajor. In some ways, like part of me wants to see Bajor before the Cardassians arrive.
Mm.
Just because, like, historically, it would just be a really fascinating thing. Because as far as I know, the Federation made first contact with Bajor not too long before the Cardassians occupied it. So there were some brief diplomatic contacts there. It would be a really interesting, certainly an interesting period to explore in some field of Trek somehow. But yeah, I'd love to go see it in its restored state as well, particularly actually.
Yeah, well, I must admit, my number 4 was also Bajor, so I will do a different one. But for a lot of the same reasons, I would, and a lot of the reasons Keiko found a lot to do on Bajor. There's a lot of biology and nature yet to be discovered and cataloged, and
Right
that's
on.
exciting to me, especially since it's such a paradise, really. Like
That's
you
a
say,
pretty-
like pre-occupation would probably be best, but even as long as it's not during the occupation, I think it would be nice. And Deep Space Nine is just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yeah, precisely, right?
We could go to Vix.
Go to Vix. That's the great minds think alike and fools do
I
something.
think
But I
since
forget
it was both our number 4s, we get to go together in it.
that's fair enough.
But I'll supply a different number 4. I'm
All
gonna
right.
say Baku.
And remind me what Baku is.
You know, take a couple wrinkles off the forehead, maybe a little gray out of the beard. That would be from Star Trek Insurrection, where you can go there and you
Right.
start to de-age a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So I figure, like, it would even make the rest of this planetary journey. Say I'm doing all these planets in order on a tour.
Uh-huh.
I'd go to Baku and, you know, freshen up a little, enjoy the scenery, and continue on my tour.
Right on.
Yeah, Baku. And it seems nice. Slow motion butterflies and such.
Hey, slow motion. It's hard to beat
Yeah.
slow motion. Well, not that hard to beat slow motion butter.
No, whoa.
It's not floating once you've won the foot race. That's the problem.
No.
So my number, I just remember what number we were on. My number 3 planet would be Kate, home of the Cations.
Oh, wow. Is it called Kate? I never really thought about it.
In some sources, it's called Kate. I know it has another name as well that I've forgotten for the moment.
Acacia.
Maybe. Acacia? No, that's a wood. Yeah, I think it'd be a wonderful planet to visit. It's apparently, again, a very verdant, beautiful, diverse ecology, but also has this tremendously deep, rich culture that the Cations practice, right? Yeah, I think it'd be an awesome place to see. And plus, it's in a neat corner of the galaxy, right?
It's like one of those kitty cafes.
Yeah, it's true.
Go have a coffee and hang out with kitty.
It's my favorite graph KCD ever did. Proximity to cat, inanity of statements. There's a one point where they cross over, it just says kitty.
The Cation in Star Trek Prodigy is adorable and awesome.
Oh, really? I've yet to partake of any Prodigy, but I do love the Doctor from Lower Decks. She's wonderful.
Ta'ana.
Yeah, Ta'ana. What a great cat.
Yeah, she is great. Just a cat in a coat. All right. Well, my number 3, and I must say I cheated a little. I have a special mention at the end.
Oh.
My number 3 is Konos. I want to see what forges the heart of a Klingon.
Right on.
Climb the mountains, go to the lava lakes or whatever they have, crazy things. They have hot spring lakes and things.
Oh yeah. I think it'd be a really interesting planet. It's a pretty wild, geologically active planet, right?
Yeah. And some wild people.
Oh yeah.
Active people. That's why I had to go to Baku first.
You may want to go back to Baku afterwards as well.
I might. All of my next picks are all Baku.
That's right.
But the culture too, it would be crazy to go to.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And fit in like Curzon Dax.
Just get a little surgical forehead reinforcement, you'll be all set.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's got foam padding up there now, like a boxing glove. That'd be great.
Padding might help.
Oh my.
A lot of headbutts.
Yeah, it's true. So it's sort of headbutt hello culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, for me, number 2 planet, since I was going to say Konos, I'll switch it to my other number 2, which was the runner-up, which is Romulus.
Oh, you were going to say Konos as well. Wow.
Yeah. Well, you got some overlap there. I think there's some that all of us would want to see.
It's true.
But Romulus, for me, would be another wonderful one.
Very gray and beige.
Yeah, I mean, the other runner-up for me is particularly the Cardassia that we see described in A Stitch in Time. There's some of those descriptions.
Barren and...
Oh, no, just like the kind of... in any of the ages we see it described, I suppose.
It's true. It's like, it does seem like it has like a strength to it, that place. Wildness.
Yeah. Anyway, but I'll say Romulus.
All right, Romulus. Want to visit the Senate.
Indeed.
Basically what it's known for, a Senate.
Fancy cloak and devices.
And those Romulan agents.
Yes.
You got to get one of those.
Romulan ale?
Mm-hmm. Well, my number 2 is Sigma Lotia 2, which you may, because I could stop by, play some poker, have a cigar.
On Beta Antares 4, they play a real game. It's a man's game, but of course, probably a little beyond you. It requires intelligence.
Launder some money, maybe. It's the home of Bella Oxmix and the other gangsta individuals.
Oh, lovely. Right on.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. That's awesome.
I think it'd be fun. go hang out on this gangster planet.
Go drive a really classic car. It'd be great.
Yeah. Hear some good music, probably.
Yeah. They'd have some great jazz over there, I imagine.
Except on Tuesdays.
Yeah. Actually, I suppose that...
Cop an attitude with everybody just because that's what everyone else is doing.
That's right. That'd be an interesting thing to look back in contemporary Trek too, see what their culture had become since Kirk had left.
But you don't want to get burned.
That's right.
Don't let Bella burn you.
That's a really fun episode. Oh,
it is.
To out gangsters.
Yeah. Try to take over the streets.
Yeah.
The territories.
Well, it's interesting because Bella Oxmix's planet is full of humans, right? They're actually transplants, like a number of other planets of transplant humans that we've run into over the various series.
Terra Nova.
Yeah, but for me, I think the planet, particularly sort of 24th century, that I really or late 24th century even, that I'd love to visit would actually be Earth. Especially the look that we've gotten at it with the first few episodes of this season of Picard.
That was my special mention.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
I think, oh man, it's just so exciting right now to look at that and think,
And it could have been my number one as well.
you know, and
I would just want to see
turn they've taken on Picard this season to put that in jeopardy with Q, and oh man, what an entrance! Ooh. Oh man, that may be my favorite scene in any new Trek I've seen in a while. It's just that entrance is so good.
Oh my god, I've loved those first 3 episodes so much.
Oh, yeah.
New one out tomorrow or something, Thursday. Can't wait.
Yeah. What day is it? Where am I?
Doesn't matter. But
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I would love to see all the sort of faces of Earth.
Me too, and I would like to see what we managed to save, what species did go extinct, which ones didn't, which ones did we bring back, that type of thing. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Have they made any more expeditions to get more George and Gracies of other species, you know?
Mm-hmm. Are the woolly mammoths running around up in Siberia?
Because I mean, there's people right now trying to bring back aurochs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds like a hilarious idea for next year's Pamplona.
There's that Pleistocene Park that those people want to do as well.
What could possibly go wrong?
There's definitely no movies about anything like that at all.
No. Life never imitates art.
Nope. Nor does art imitate life. All right, well, my number one, we're going all the way to the Delta Quadrant.
Okay.
And that is, it doesn't really have a name. It's the Demon Planet. So because I want to go down there and step in the silver goo and make a copy of myself. Because I could really use 2 of me right now. I think we'd get more podcasts out. One of me could always be watching the baby. And the other one of me can be podcasting and landscaping and gardening.
That's true.
I think
you might need 3.
I might need 3, but I think I can do that on the Demon Planet. I don't think that I really would have to stop with 2. I don't think. I don't know if a copy can make a copy, but I think as the original, I could go back and make another copy. I think.
You just have to make sure you kept careful track of who you were. Or you'd end up in like a Mahler twins problem, whole different franchise, but whatever.
But yeah, that's the Demon Planet.
That's a crazy episode. Oh man,
it's a crazy episode. It's 2 episodes because then there's Course of Oblivion where you think it's Voyager, but it's the Demon Planet people.
Oh, that's right.
Disintegrating. So I guess copies of me would disintegrate over time. So I would probably have to go back to the Demon Planet often enough to replenish my copies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You're gonna need
it's a long trip, so hopefully I can get some. Yeah, exactly. Without transwarp, it's gonna be a long go.
Oh man. Yeah.
So how should we talk about this? How should we break into the cosmology of Star Trek here?
Well,
you talk about warp. We could talk about galactic orienteering.
Well, it may be a good idea to talk about how we get our bearings. You know, because it made it. I don't know. For me, there are sort of 4 basic galactic directions, right? There's coreward, rimward, spinward, the direction that the gas and everything in the universe is spinning, and then trailing, the opposite direction, sort of the counterclockwise. And then
here I was going to say up, down, left, and right.
Well, and that's the more local frame, right? Exactly. So when we're inside, when we're hearing like a course getting called out, 325 Mark 7 or something like that, that's if you're thinking about two circles put or perpendicular to each other, that's how you're calling out your course to get your orientation to pick a vector at whatever speed you want. But yeah, in terms of the sort of general directions in the galaxy, in terms of orienting around that way, yeah, we're looking at those kind of basic directions with, yeah, as you said, sort of an up and a down, roughly, depending on wherever we're starting from.
Do you think it's up or down to Vulcan? Do you think you're going down to Vulcan, or you're going up to Vulcan?
Well, interestingly, there's a wonderful book by a guy named Jeffrey Mandel, I think is his name, called Star Trek Star Charts, published maybe the early 2000s, from which I'm actually drawing a lot of what I'm commenting on here. It gives you beautiful stuff like how sector grids are numbered, how they're organized, what size they are, that sort of stuff. But in the end, it also gives a few really lovely pages that give the relative orientation or relative position of some of the core worlds of the Federation in a three-dimensional space. And so it is actually the case that, if I can find it, I was thrilled when I first found this thing. Here it is. So yeah, while Vulcan is roughly sort of 14 light years, as they say, sort of away from Sol, it's also it looks like 5 or 6 light years down below on the galactic plane.
Oh, so you go down Vulcan. I'm going down Vulcan.
Yeah, going down Vulcan, going up Earth, going way up Tellar.
Oh, wow, I'm going up Tellar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Andor looks like it's way...
that really explains Tellarite attitudes, doesn't it?
Yep. Oh, you got to say.
Up there looking down on everyone.
Yeah, and way... Oh, let me see now. Where's Earth in here? Earth's about... they put it just about on the galactic plane, actually. Denobula's way up. It's 6, 7, 8, 9 light years up ahead. Because
Denobulans are great, aren't they?
They are. Each sector is organized about 20 light years on a side, ultimately, or subsectors. So, yeah, it's sort of like a cube in space rather than a square. Even though on mapping we'd often organize it as a square. Because if we think about it, the galaxy that they're talking about, our galaxy is about 110,000 light years in diameter, and anywhere between 3,600 and 8 or 12,000 light years thick, in terms of the sort of thickness of that disk as it's spinning. Except the center, of course, which I suppose would be much, much thicker and more dense with objects and, floating heads and whatever else we find at the center of the galaxy.
Well, and that's just the galaxy. The galaxy that has roughly about 600 billion stars. Mm-hmm. And I think there's probably like 1,000,000 trillion galaxies or whatever it is.
And this is
we're each with about 600 billion stars, roughly.
For what might be just an average size one. We don't even know if this is a bigger. I suppose we do know it's relatively medium size, I guess, as galaxies go.
So when you think of the 600 billion stars, even just in the Milky Way galaxy, there's no end to potential Star Trek stories and strange new worlds, if you will.
Oh, yeah. One of the real challenges, of course, and we've been running up against this repeatedly over a number of episodes in Star Trek. And there is a particularly famous one with the weird fishy lizards, which comments on this in particular. But
I don't know the episode you're speaking of.
Well, we try not to speak of it. So
is that an animated series episode?
That's it. That's what it must be. But the warp barrier, which is interesting at warp 1, but also interesting at warp 10, is a big problem. If Star Trek were content to look at warp factors as just multiples of light we can stack up, that's okay. But they took this very interesting route of thinking about the energy requirements involved, which also occurred to Miguel Alcubierre in the real world, of course, when he was trying to calculate the energy involved in developing or sustaining a warp field. And there's this point where it approaches infinity, right? Somewhere around warp 10, they argue. And so we get into transwarp fields or slipstream drives or all sorts of other methods for getting us places even faster.
Well, that's the thing about infinity is I can talk about it forever.
Indeed. Right? Especially when even when we're thinking, the observable universe itself, in all of its massive size, is still, as far as we know, just the observable universe. Whatever's outside that, which is functionally from us moving well past the speed of light away from us in terms of the expansion of space, will never, ever be known or visible to us.
And it's going to be fascinating to see what kind of questions we can answer in the more scientific. What new questions can we come up with?
Sure.
With the James Webb Space Telescope.
Well, that's going to be very interesting.
It's all aligned now, just as of the other day, I think. All the
I guess they're starting to get some
images
pretty sharp back from it, eh?
Pretty exciting.
I'm looking forward to
Konos, we're going to see Klingons. Point that thing at Vulcan, or what did you call it again?
Eridani A. Oh,
yeah, let's point it there.
That'd be great.
We'll make first contact with them. They won't see that coming.
Make first contact right here.
Wouldn't that surprise the shit out of them? Like this thing just lands on in a field in Vulcan, and Zephram Cochrane steps out.
Hey, yeah, it's true.
Boogie boogie.
Yeah, it's true. I live long and prosper. Cachet it has in the regular timeline that way. Yeah. Even just looking to see whether Proxima or Alpha Centauri have.
Here's an interesting
exciting
space question / kind of game. You're familiar with the Fermi paradox?
Sure. Coined
by, I believe it's Enrico Fermi.
Yeah. Over a lunch, which was considered apocryphal for some time until a student at the same place went back and, apparently decided to look into it, I guess.
So it's true.
Yeah, I guess it actually happened. This conversation actually happened.
Very nice.
Yeah. But this is the where are all the aliens question.
Yeah, where is everybody? If there's 600 billion stars and planets around, as far as we can tell, most of them.
Yeah, looks like.
And life being so prevalent in so many environments on Earth, where is everybody?
Yeah.
So what I was thinking would be interesting is put ourselves in the Star Trek world, the Star Trek universe. It's our time. We have the James Webb Space Telescope, or say it's a couple of years from now, and we've been looking around with the telescope for a while, and we still can't see anybody. Now, from the Star Trek world context, why can't we see anybody?
Well,
the easiest answer is Q, but we're not going to do that here. Q is just not letting us see anyone. But
the other answer, maybe that perhaps James Webb Telescope is not fine enough resolution to look at the surface of planets to see some of that sort of stuff. Or maybe the technologies that folks are developing by that point, because the Vulcans are already long into space travel by the time they come across Earth. They're nearly they've been doing it since nearly the first century, I think. Space
Which makes you wonder, did not the telescopes of our time in the Star Trek universe, were they not looking for these things? Because we know there is no paradox in the Star Trek world. There are people everywhere.
Yes, Fermi's paradox has been solved.
Yes,
surely, yeah. And
now there's some things like the eugenics war and the World War III that kind of derail a lot of probably scientific.
Would have distracted us from looking for life out there. or certainly distracted the species at large from realizing there was anybody out there, even if there were like 3 scientists in a lab in Rio saying, dudes, we have seen the surface of Alpha Centauri and there are people there and they look very much like us. Because, of course, the Centaurans do, right?
One of them was listening to Roy Orbison.
Right? Just heard it.
The radio signals just reached Earth. Yeah.
Right? I said, well, what would they be? They would. I don't think they would have seen the last season of Game of Thrones yet, because it'd take about 4 years to get there, right? They're in for a bit of a shock.
And disappointment, perhaps.
They get in their warships and start heading here.
We'll hear the echoes of their
Bring us the Martin
in about 4 years.
That's right. Yeah, our first email will be, we want a different season 8.
It almost
Anyway.
like makes you one of those thinks about one of those answers to the Fermi paradox, like the galactic garden one.
Yeah.
Or like where there is just like blockages in place being set there by people.
Well, I sort of a kind of a space Gnosticism, right? Something that's trying to keep us from seeing this until a certain time.
And like
Most likely, culprits would be the Vulcans, right? But I can't see the Vulcans doing that. Although, if the Borg were after Earth again, or trying to delay Earth's arrival on the galactic scene, I could see them trying to throw stuff back in the Earth, or it could be an effect of the temporal Cold War, trying to snow Earth out of it for a while, you know. But that then presupposes that the entirety of the current history of Earth is altered timeline from the temporal Cold War.
True.
Yeah. It's like
so
this,
they have it.
Yeah.
But maybe, it could be, as we
victims
hear
of
in Picard, perhaps the final frontier is not space. Perhaps it is time, and perhaps, like the answer to this Fermi paradox in the Star Trek universe, perhaps our own, but I'm no expert in our real world.
Sure.
But
Me neither.
Perhaps the answer to that is time related. Perhaps there's blockages put in place through time.
Well, that
agents.
becomes a really interesting term of the Drake equation, which ends up getting developed as a way of trying to codify what we're trying to calculate in the Fermi paradox, right? And there's a series of interesting terms in it, one of which is a limiting term, which is the fraction of intelligent species who would be able to communicate. And what that really means is the window in which we would be able to receive it as well, right? That's one of the difficult terms of this, is that you're right, not just the vastness of space, but the sheer vastness and depth of time as well. We've only been here on this planet for a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the entire 4 billion years it's been around. And our sun's about 6 or 8 billion years old?
I think it was 8.
Years old, like that. I forget exactly. Whole universe projection to be about 13,
16,
14,
I think now.
Something like that. 16 now? Right.
So.
Maybe it gets older as it gets bigger. You never know.
Well, that's something I think maybe James Webb might be able to answer.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
A better age.
Mm-hmm. And whether some of those like cyclic conformic theories or that like the total expansion theories, I think we're going to get some neat information about that.
Because I've heard something that maybe it can be like see back as far as the Big Bang. Be interesting.
That'd be interesting, eh?
Or just after, because of course there was no time until the Big Bang, because it was created in that moment.
Yeah. Right. These are mind-bending concepts, but it does point back to something that we should make a point about, is the fact that we're dealing in Star Trek. We're definitely dealing in space-time. We're not dealing in earlier conceptions of time as either a planum space filled with etheric particles, the sort of theory of vortices that Newton criticizes, or Newton's own theory of an empty space, which is populated by planets and stars and gravitational relationships, but which has no defined content other than that, and is essentially the sort of extension of the experience of the divine, time being the extension of the consciousness of the divine in some weird way, right? He talks about these things as absolute space and absolute time. And so when we get to Einstein speaking about relativity, that's really where what he's speaking in relation to, pun entirely intended. So that relativistic understanding of space and time is sort of co-implicated is it's absolutely the totally necessary basis for Star Trek, right? I don't think you really.
We could have called this episode Space Time, but this way we can do an episode on and call it Time. We could get 2 episodes for the price of 1.
Shameless capitalist impulse will bifurcate these things in twain.
Not always easy coming up with themes.
No, it's true. It's true. Sometimes we got to rattle it around a bit. No, I think we do end up collapsing them into 2 again, because we do experience the unity of space-time as these different aspects, space and passage of time, even though, it may well be just one unified thing we're experiencing.
Where do you think we would place Earth and the humans on the Kardashev scale? And do you think we have any type 2 or type 3s? I mean, the Borg have to be like at least a type 2, maybe a type 3.
Well, type
3 would be
scale is being able to use the entire energy output of your own
planet
capability available to your planet. I think the Federation would easily be a type 1 civilization.
And
might enclose a number of type 1 civilizations that way, right?
And they don't have any Dyson spheres that we know of.
No, they found one, but I don't think they've ever made one.
Yeah, found Scottian one.
Synthetic Scotch, synthetic commanders.
Yeah. But I could absolutely see the Borg making a Dyson sphere to just supply all the power they ever want and then send that somehow out.
Like, is there any other equivalent we've seen? Have we seen any other species that are just like harnessing all the power of their sun? Like the Romulans are sort of like that with their miniature black hole warp drives and things like that, but it's not quite the same thing.
And they're still, I think, in some ways operating within the logic of sort of interstellar societies as opposed to, say, a galactic society.
Actually, that's a bad example.
You could work a galactic society in that sense, right?
Yeah.
In terms of their scale. But the Dominion could also, in that way, maybe be argued to be a galactic scale society. Because they're so massive and so ancient. They're what? The Dominion's been around for 10,000 years when they run into the Federation, I think.
They could have Dyson spheres.
Oh, I think quite happily. They just designed the creatures that would build them for them, right? Who knows what kind of creatures the Dominions built other than just the Vorta and the Jem'Hadar, right? They may have all kinds of custom creations out there.
My earlier example was terrible because you could say the Romulans have the least control over their own star.
Well,
too soon. Too soon.
Or too early. But no, I think they're, one of the species that to me sticks out as a possibility for a level 2 civilization could be the Tholians as well. We don't really know almost anything about them, but what we do know is that they have tremendous ability to manipulate energy in really potent ways.
And that they didn't, or at least it's thought they didn't originate in the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, they may not have it. Yeah. So, they may be using technologies that are far and away.
Well, Discovery's gone to another galaxy now, apparently. I haven't seen that episode, but...
Oh, yeah. Right on. Yeah. But, you can look back at something like the Takan or maybe the Iconians or somebody like that back there who could well have been a species like that, or the progenitors for that matter.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. The power requirements for the Iconian gateways must be huge.
Oh, massive. Yeah.
And just that control. Yeah, see, the Kardashev scale might be a little too rudimentary.
we may need to put more steps in if it's true.
Yeah.
I suppose you could always make it like a level 1.2 or something like that, I suppose. Yeah.
We should add decimals to the Kardashev scale and call it the Locutor scale. Trademark.
That's right. TM with a circle around it. It would be great.
It just doesn't have a lot to do with space, but she's been to space. But Dave, how great is Agnes Girardi?
Oh, man. The last episode of Picard blew my mind. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would watch Alison Pill just like act to the phone book because she'd probably act.
It'd be pretty funny.
But yeah, she was incredible in those interactions with the Borg Queen and that.
Whoa! Spoiler alert.
Were just incredible.
We're dropping spoiler alert. Woo woo.
Interactions.
Woo woo.
Yeah. But yeah, just incredible. It was just absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Vague hype for the show, so there's no spoilers.
Hopefully nothing too determinative for anyone's experience.
No, I completely spoiled the plot to the new Spider-Man movie on my X-Men podcast.
Oh no!
Yeah,
You've been sensitized to this then.
But I don't need to bring that sort of thing here.
That's sordid bad.
Yeah, exactly. Spacefaring life.
Yeah.
We talked about it in our biology episode, but it's interesting because the question I have, we have these things like Gormaganders and crystalline entities and these types of things.
Sure.
Space
babies,
sour milk suckers. Yeah.
And gum twos.
Yeah.
Tin Man. Yeah. We've seen a number of entities. The Farpoint entities as well.
But what I'm thinking is these species must have originated on a planet or something somewhere, because from everything I know of biology, the vacuum of space is not particularly fertile for life to begin, or a good environment. Like, there's just so many things need to happen and so many processes that we know of. I mean, these are strange forms of life, mind you, but it's far more easy to imagine a species just evolving to the point where it can leave its own planet.
Sure. And I mean, it's an interesting question, because they do seem to be most of those forms that we've encountered, other than perhaps the Farpoint creature, which is a matter energy conversion being, it seems, by way of what it can do. So it may not fall into the same category, or it may have evolved out of something. A lot of these things seem to be more biologically based, or sort of have a chemical form of life, And so I think you're right. That does purport some kind of origin in a kind of an atmospheric cradle, right? I think it's a nice way to think of planets too, as sort of the seed pods of life that can then spread off into the galaxy. And okay, well, let's picture it. What kind of place could make a creature like that?
Like that can leave its
what kind of conditions I think would be favorable for that?
See, that's it would have to be a planet that leads to gigantism.
Sure.
On some form, because these are all giant creatures that we're seeing.
The other thing that occurs to me is
like an early Earth.
Early Earth, sure.
Because that was gigantic creatures.
Lower gravity environment that has a really extended aspect. I'm thinking about particularly
not Vulcan.
Not Vulcan, exactly. But imagine, say, a gas giant, which doesn't have to be super close to the star, because it's also generating a lot of its own heat. But a gas giant whose atmosphere is extended up enough that it intermingles with the ring of debris that's formed around it.
Mhm.
Some of those pieces could be almost the size of Earth or could be much smaller. Perhaps on some of those pieces, with atmosphere floating around, creatures develop that have some capacity to sustain themselves on the jump from one rock to another as light
or even
spreads around this ring around a planet, right? Maybe something like that could form like the starting point for something that can then launch itself much farther afield, right?
something like that, or like a thing like Titan, or
Sure.
one
Yeah.
of these ones that are thought of as good potential candidates for life, like
Yeah.
what's another one?
And Enceladus was too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I thought.
yeah. Or
Yeah, some of these places where they might be able to get an
imagine something
escape
like
pod
that.
more easily, right?
Or like it gives life potentially a target to progress to. Like if you're on this barren moon, but you can see either a belt with more potential food or habitat, or the gas giant itself, or something
Sure.
like that.
Maybe
It
we're
is
going to imagine
interesting.
some kind of space krill or phytoplankton or something floating around in that distributed atmosphere, right? You
Sure,
get
or
a kind
like
of a
those
swell,
tardigrades
right?
that we see in Discovery.
Right.
Now, if panspermia is real, or
Mhm.
like not real as in a theory, but real as in it actually happens
Right.
and is provable at some point, then there should be like slow motion, mind you, because it still takes forever to get from one
Sure.
planetary solar system to another. Like we've just got our first two with Oumuamua and the one that came after, I forget what it's called. There's been two interstellar visitors now that we've cataloged.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it would be slow life getting from solar system to solar system and
Oh yeah.
through panspermia, but in the vastness of 16 billion years,
Right.
the life would be everywhere if this panspermia is happening. So the Star Trek universe becomes slightly more likely and more
Sure.
possible.
Well, and honestly, I think one of the things about panspermia is that I like is that there are variations on it, and to me, it doesn't seem like it's necessary that panspermia even has to have a single origin point, right? And I guess I'm thinking as a model there, the fact that we talk about this Big Bang, but in some ways, the sense of that expansion of space means that it happened everywhere all at once, right? Like there was nowhere that the Big Bang didn't happen. That's why we have the cosmic background radiation, right?
Yeah, it's just like if people ask, like, where did the Big Bang happen? It's just like, well, that's like not really a question. Like,
before here was here, it was the Big Bang.
There was no here's, and then there were here's,
right?
And there's,
and everywhere's.
Everywhere's.
All of a sudden, we become a Dr. Seuss book podcast. Apparently, I do not like them, Klingon Sam. No, I do not like Captain Boudet. So but I guess what I mean is you could have, there could be lots of places that life could start, with the right little inputs of energy. Because on Earth, life started, as far as I can figure from, trying to learn about it, it started almost as soon as it could.
And
boom.
And it had to restart a couple of times.
Right? Little single-celled organisms, and it got pounded a lot.
So I think we've seen, again, correct me if I'm wrong out there, biologists, evolutionary biologists, but I'm pretty sure life developed more than once on Earth.
I don't know if the single-celled stuff developed more than once, but certainly, oh my gosh, everything else has been smashed to pieces at least once, right? Think about the Permian extinction. Oh yeah, like certainly anything more than a single cell, I think, has developed. Well, crabs, they've developed independently. 7 or 8 times on Earth, I think,
to become the most evolved creature on planet Earth. You
Right?
try walking sideways like that.
Well, honestly, and you know, and then and like the horseshoe crab is like, yeah, I figured it out. 45 million years later, still here.
Yep.
I'm a horseshoe crab. I pretty much got
Pretty
this covered.
sweet being a horseshoe crab. You humans do not have it made. Horseshoe crab, that's where it's at.
It's pretty much the Cadillac of creatures right here. Horseshoe crab.
Yeah. Gotta love those horseshoe crabs.
But it is, you know,
Virgin Gracie.
it's interesting how some of those creatures that we do meet in out in space in Star Trek have a kind of nautical quality to them, right? Like the Farpoint creatures have a jellyfish quality about them, and the little baby that they return to its species in the asteroid field, they kind of look like weird floating brains, but they also kind of look like mussels or clams or something, you know, a little bit.
Definitely, they look like ocean-going life.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's a lot of similarities in Star Trek in space in general with the ocean. The vastness, sailing with ships, and
from right down to the exactly, sort of Navy quality of Starfleet, right? The naval quality,
kind of the anti-deep ocean instead of these incredible pressures that crush you. It's the pressures that pull you apart.
Yeah, precisely. But yeah, they're kind of analogs that way by their oppositeness.
Oh yeah, what I was thinking, we were talking about trying to imagine how that life would happen, and I thought of those tardigrades because you could see if, again, panspermia is real. It's going to be things like tardigrades that would make that journey,
or mushrooms or something hardy.
Yep. Exactly.
That's kind of McKenna's, of course, his great statement on what is an alien. He's like, it's a mushroom. If we've met aliens, it's probably mushrooms.
Yeah. I mean, you can ride mushroom mats through space these days.
Apparently, so yeah, some of that fungal stuff they want to send to Mars.
The mycelial network and discover.
Oh yeah. Well, the mycelial furniture and structures are also being considered for use on Mars by some company, because the mycelia, like, they grow, this fungus will grow into a shape inside a form and then die, so it won't infect the environment around it, but then it'll just be sort of encased and form this rigid structure. They want to grow furniture and walls and stuff out of it.
Oh, and talking about ginormous creatures, the largest creature on Earth is a fungal mat.
And is there like a particular fungal mat that has a record for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And
so I know there's apparently a massive.
Oh no, it's not a fungal mat. What I'm thinking of, it's trembling aspen. Trembling aspens. If you see a patch of trembling aspen, that's probably just one trembling aspen, and they just spread from the root and spread that way.
So they come up from the roots, do they?
Yeah, and it's not a new plant; it's just the same plant.
Wow.
So they found like a patch of trembling aspen. I believe it's in the U.S., and it's considered like the biggest organism ever recorded.
So it's just this.
But 1 second, I have to let my cat in.
Don't forget dietary supplements.
Bossy kitties, those Cajuns.
Oh, it's true. Now, there's a good pop quiz. What is Spot's favorite dietary supplement? I've forgotten yet.
Oh, number like 37 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Like it that it just shows the evidence of Data's clinical work with that cat. He's like, I will just continue to try food with you until I find one you actually like. The infinite patience of an android.
And tell him he is a good cat and a pretty cat. I just like when people try to, it's like, oh no, here's what you do to cat. He's like, I wouldn't. Spot does not like that. He's like, no, Spot is not a normal cat. Or is he?
Yeah, it's true. Being an android's cat probably would have certain effects on you.
Oh yeah, but my point was like, perhaps like you could I don't know. I just sort of imagine a tardigrade on a planet that gets blasted by a comet or something and flying
sure.
up into space, and that's how panspermia happens, obviously. But I
Sure.
just imagine that tardigrade, like maybe this species of tardigrade doesn't have to go dormant like what they do, and that makes them so survivable. They go into like cryostasis.
Sure. I mean, the other question to me in
but
space. Sorry, you go ahead. I'll remember it.
But imagine that just being a colony of them or something like that,
Oh.
enough to, and them not having to go dormant, and they're just traveling through space for like millennia, and they just evolve to tolerate that, and then just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Because there's
And
really no constraint on size. It's true.
So like a thing that started as like microcellular life on Earth or a planet could evolve into like the crystalline entity by being thrown into space as a microcellular organism. Like I could see that even being kind of likely.
Yeah. Well, we do find, because Voyager runs into a giant single-celled organism, doesn't it?
Voyager turns into a jingles.
They injure it, and they've got to try and do some kind of surgery to it, I think. If I'm recalling the episode correctly. I think there's also an episode of the animated series where the Enterprise runs into a potentially giant single-celled organism or amoeba-like creature.
Well, I suppose... yeah, go ahead.
Or one of the things that occurs to me about space-faring life is just that, right? If you've developed by getting flung off a planet or in the rings of a gas giant or somehow in a nebula or an asteroid field or something, how do you go anywhere else? And so here's a question. We've talked a lot about how, space travel works for space-faring creatures, planetary creatures who need to go into space. But can you envision a kind of creature that could either generate and sustain a warp field or have some other way to effectively travel interstellar distances in some other fashion than the sort of rafting or drifting that I think is implied in your example?
Well, I mean, I guess we've seen the crystalline entity go at warp.
That's true. Yeah, it does for sure.
And we've seen those tardigrades in Discovery sort of travel the mycelial network. So those are the things they've sort of come up with.
Yeah.
But it is hard to imagine biology reaching those speeds.
Well, I wonder
it's hard to imagine technology reaching those speeds.
Sure. Sure.
Or at least hard to realize. Imagine it.
I mean, we, even though we may have accidentally, the first warp field in a microscopic fashion may have accidentally been created a few months ago.
And I say this because speed isn't something that life does particularly well. I mean, there are some birds that fly fast. Some fish that can swim pretty fast. But most creatures move pretty slow most of the time. I mean, that's because of energy and for other reasons.
Scale, sure. Yeah.
But
that's true. Even fast land creatures, cheetahs or other things, that's not the majority of their movement, is it? They're not just zipping around at 70 kilometers an hour all the time.
And if we're talking about life and evolution, what would be the evolutionary imperative to develop such a... I mean, and what kind of organ would do it or whatever, but like, what would be the imperative to travel at warp for a... Well, the only thing I can think of is if you're one of these poor little tardigrades that are evolving and getting bigger on one of these panspermia meteorites or whatever, maybe you want to get off that rock.
Yeah. I mean, and if this is, I mean, if we're taking a kind of Darwinian evolution out into space in a more or less unchanged form, perhaps what I guess I'm thinking about what happens if we've got a creature out there that is feeding on minerals and asteroids or something and is eating some kind of element that we don't know about here, but which by interaction with its systems allows it to sort of slip along gravity waves or something like that, right? Or somehow
into some
interact-
nebula.
Tachyons, great. Article in
Oh
Star
yeah,
Trek,
if tachyons are real, that's a whole other question.
right?
Interesting. And it's like we always imagine. Well, it's just the space episode, but we always imagine life. I mean, we're getting kind of focused on the life of space, but that's interesting. We'll get back to, before we wrap this up, we'll get back to warp or something very spacey.
Sure. but we can bridge computer warp pretty fast, yeah.
True.
But yeah, I think it's an interesting question because most of the life we meet is planetary.
Yeah. But you know what else is interesting thought? Do planets in the 24th century even have telescopes or anything like it? Like, do you need a telescope to look at Tellar, or do you just call them and ask them what it looks like?
That's a good question.
Like, is there even any point to have these long range look, except for like spying on your enemies, I guess?
Sure. And we know there's things like the Argus array and that sort of stuff, which are long range sensor arrays and probably long range communications arrays as well, if they're going to be sending data back.
It's all just more advanced sensors, I guess.
Sure, but
it wouldn't be telescopes per se or anything like that.
Yeah, visual stuff might not be as significant, but I think you make a really good point there, though, because like the whole subspace network collapses those profound distances in really significant ways. Because you can make a call from Earth to Vulcan in real time, almost, or essentially in real time, and that, or from Konos to Earth, and in real time, you can pretty much make that call, which makes it a very interesting world that and one that actually resembles our own, with our endless Zoom calls maybe just starting to slow down now, and that sort of thing. We've learned in the first part of the 21st century that space and time can collapse this way as well, through video calling or the telephone, particularly cell phones, that kind of stuff. But yeah, we still have real distance between us. I think you're right. There probably isn't the same kind of need for even planetary-based telescopes. You can just plonk an array in space. We've just really started doing that in a big way with Hubble and James Webb and a number of those things.
But even space telescopes, I was sort of including that. I'm like, do you even need those? I mean, you need. I get.
I don't know whether we do it now.
I guess, are they used for science so much anymore, or like these types of devices just used for defense and military reasons?
Sure.
Otherwise, defense isn't, even just like a comet coming at your planet or anything like that. But like,
sure.
As far as just like wanting to see what things look like and peer farther into the universe, we don't hear of the people doing that or anything like that in Star Trek really so much.
No, not in the same way. That's a really interesting point.
Like
maybe the way they're
those
doing
types
that science, you're right, is sort of collaboratively among planets. So there isn't that same. Yeah, because I mean, in a certain way, the telescope really is trying to bring what's far close so we can see if anybody's out there.
It's like, I'm an astronomer. I study Vulcan. It's just like, well, I think I'd rather talk to a Vulcan, to be quite honest. What are you going to tell me that a Vulcan can't?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. The stakes for science that way could change quite considerably with warp travel involved.
Yeah, warp.
Do it.
Pretty slow.
It is true. It's a very slow means of travel on a galactic scale.
Yeah, I think at like warp 9.9, it takes like 4 seconds or 8 seconds to get to Pluto.
Something like that, yeah.
From here, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're doing basically just over a light year a day or something if you're at that speed, or maybe 16 light year. It's massive. But even then, it's a tiny, tiny number, right? Compared to the amount of light years that there are to go.
Really, those Iconians figured it out.
Yeah, they absolutely did.
Yeah.
Why bother crossing the intervening space?
And that's interesting in Star Trek too. Everyone's, well, I guess some people's hesitance to explore those technologies. Whereas, of course, like the Romulans would grab it in 2 seconds, and so did the Jem'Hadar there for a second. But
Sure.
you'd think that would be everybody's number one goal. Let's just figure out how the Iconians did this, and let's stop with this slow warp stuff.
Yep. I can't imagine why not, because they all love the transporter.
Especially since warp is bad for the environment.
Right? Why would you not reserve warp travel for things like peculiar scientific expeditions to deep space? You know? Or for that matter, just build a really big trajectory and fling a spaceship out there and drag it back when you're done with it. I mean, this is ultimately the solution that another great science fiction sort of world building takes on, and that's Frank Herbert's Dune, right? Frank Herbert's Dune doesn't have ships that are capable of particularly long space flight. They're more shuttles or ships that can go from one of the highliners into a planetary orbit or around a planetary system, but none of them are fast enough or capable of making anything like an interstellar trip. For that, you need, what is it, the Spacing Guild in that setup. But they just stop being in one place and start being in another place when they make the jump, right? They just fold space and there we go. And there's a contemporary.
I think that's where time comes into it as well.
Yeah, you skip all that intervening time too, right? Absolutely. As I was saying, there's a Japanese guy, Takashi Musha, who has proposed a variation on the warp drives that Alcubierre or Froning or White or some of these other guys have been working on for quite a long time. And as far as I can understand from what he proposed,
and Frank Flyven.
True. Eric Lemster's also more recently been working on a number of these things.
Flyven.
The killer's children. The Musha
the balls, children, the balls, the colors, the colors.
What he really realized was that there's a sort of arbitrary speed that you could, if you really take this calculation as far as he thought it could go, if you spent the energy, you can sort of go at an arbitrary speed. And if it's arbitrary, why not just be there? Ultimately, right? Why not simply translate from one set of coordinates to another? Because there doesn't need to be a peculiar interval of time, And maybe there is a 5-minute delay or a 1 week delay or something like that. As in one of my favorite role playing games, Traveler. Every jump takes a week, no matter how far you're going.
Well, I don't think it's any accident that the farther we see into the Star Trek future, the more time technologies they use, and that, spoiler alert, in this Picard show, Picard says that time is the final frontier. Because as far as their technologies go, that seems to be the case. To shrink these distances, like we were just talking about, but also, you could apply time to so many different technologies.
Sure.
In medicine, the possibilities are endless, really.
Well, we see a lovely version of that in The Missing Time, where Beverly's plants have grown up. The episode where Data
her moss,
yes, exactly right.
Yes,
where they're
good crop there, Beverly.
What actually holds their reasoning together is the fact that these things can't have become this big in that little time, right? That time there is a stability for them that their kind of warp travel specifically screens out dilation effects against, right? So,
which is interesting,
right? The embeddedness in,
but it would be so confusing otherwise.
It's sort of essential to warp travel the way Federation and Klingons and everybody does it, but maybe not necessary.
And the way humans would have to find a way to do it in a way, because the way we think of things anyway, we want to travel to a place and expect it to take a certain time, And
Yes.
for the people who have aged the same amount as we have in that amount of time, and just all that to be consistent. But if that's not, like, if we're going to travel to Vulcan, and all of a sudden they're going to be in a, like, we left a friend there, for example,
Right.
and then we're traveling between Earth and Vulcan, or your kids even, and now your kids are old because you went on a trip,
Yeah.
or they're younger, and you're old, or that would be all very
It'd be
confusing.
pretty disjoint, and narratively it wouldn't work very well.
No, that's the
in
thing.
terms of presenting stories either. But the sense that that sort of fragile mortality we bear around a surface of a planet in what feel like linear paths but are actually circular or spherical. I think there's an elegance about that sort of speaks to the macrocosm, right? The sense that we're moving in a scale that makes sense to us, but there are reaches to go that have rules and demands of their own, right? What is that wonderful phrase of Aristotle? We move from that which is most known to us to that which is most knowable in itself. Maybe we move in those ways which are most immediate for planetary creatures, and only later figure out that stuff's not even particularly that big a constraint at all. As in one sense, the traveler, the consummate, mover in space, I think tries to point out to Picard at a couple of points during their conversations.
Well, we're all the constant movers in space. We think we're sitting still, but really we're both traveling 460 meters per second right now.
Right? Yeah. But we're in this inertial frame that allows us to blithely ignore that.
We're roughly 67,000 miles an hour. That's what we're traveling right
Yeah.
Sure.
Really slow.
Slow. That's what I'm saying. When you bring in space, everything's so slow.
Compared even to Warp 1. Yeah. And I mean, I think, that goes back to your point earlier about life not being a swiftly moving beast.
Yeah.
That space doesn't seem to be in a hurry either. It took 14 billion years or 16 billion years to get to the way it is now. And mind you, that could be described in the sense of a kind of Schopenhauerian blind, pointless striving that just adds up to some aggregate universe. Or it could be the unfolding of something just as it, just as it will. Yeah.
So you think James Webb's going to find Borg cubes?
Oh, gosh. And here I was going to ask, what do you think the Prophet's understanding of space is? Because they sure don't have much of an understanding of time. But they seem to operate moving around bodily in terms of...
Space doesn't seem to mean a lot to them either.
Well, they come from angles and they kind of confect a sensorium for the beings they're interacting with, it seems.
But I would think that they know what it is. Certainly.
They certainly seem to have a relationship to it through the wormhole, that there's some kind of space that's peculiar to them there.
Yes, maybe that would be something peculiar in there, because that's so interesting. It would be so strange for a higher form of life to not even have evolved a concept of time.
Well,
except that they're not affected by it.
Yeah, right. Because if it's not germane to their experience, they may not. I mean,
But it only works in that little strange celestial temple that they live in, because otherwise they would at least see it around them, because everything else is still affected by it.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder what that, like, whether is that celestial temple simply an intersection with their...
Or maybe we're thinking too small.
Intersection with them with us, because we've certainly we've seen space phenomena like the thread, the string from Star Trek Generations.
The Nexus.
Yeah, the Nexus, which is a sort of manifold, multifold implex space, and so it doesn't seem, it's sort of a TARDIS space that way. So I wonder if there couldn't be some possibilities like that as well, right? for the prophets?
Hmm.
Yeah.
That is a good question, though.
And, it's a wonderful way to ask questions about, again, time and eternity and how different orders of being could possibly relate that way. How do they grok each other?
Now, you could sort of see the celestial temple sort of like the Great Link in a way, where I would imagine once you're in the Great Link, space probably doesn't have a lot of purpose or meaning. It's all just thought and form and formlessness and all this sort of thing. Like you're just like the drop becomes the ocean, right? Like does it matter where in the ocean that drop is?
I think only if it's looking to get out, right?
Yeah.
Right, and that you're right. There's a wonderful statement in or a piece of argument in one of the books of a guy called Iamblichus of Chalcis. It's his treatise on the soul, and he argues in it that and it's brought out more clearly by a successor of his. But the best way I can say it is that what he really says is that at any ontological level, difference differs for what is different, so that it may not even show up for what hasn't differed in that way. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really interesting way to think about how we both perceive others immediately in our own human lives, but also how, there's sometimes maybe almost an incommensurability in scale, and that's sort of what the prophets evoke, right? One of my favorite images, and I actually have it on it's on the desktop of my my computer at work, is this great image, and it's kind of like this arc line with these different layers, and on the bottom of the left-hand side, it's like an inverted horseshoe, right? The bottom of the left-hand side says entire universe. Bottom of the right-hand side says Planck length. And then you're sort of going, as you go up on the left-hand side, you're going increasingly down in orders of magnitude. And as you're going up the right-hand side, you're going increasingly up orders of magnitude till you hit the sort of basic middle line between what is maximally large, so the universe as such, and maximally or minimally small, the Planck length. And about smack in the middle of those two scales is the scale of human life, which I really value as a way to think about how we're navigating this place, right? Somehow our scale is just big enough to note all of this massiveness out there, and just small enough to note all of this tiny microscopic detail. In some kind of way that seems natural to us, or to come out of us. And maybe that's one of the special qualities of living at this scale, is having to develop some of that stuff. Because we're a little bit too big for some things and a little bit too small for other stuff, Too
big and too small for our britches.
That's right. That's right. Those are some mighty big short pants you're wearing there. Yeah.
It's as good a place to end this as any.
Maybe we found the name for our episode. All right.
Something about short pants?
That's right. Well, thank you, dear auditors, for your patience, your forbearance, and we'll aim to talk to you again very soon in both time and space and transmission.
Human! You lose, dumb chat! Human! Complete!
What did you say to those guys?
Me and my big mouth.
God, they loved us on Nausicaa.
They did. Till we asked for the full pay.
I thought we could beat them.
As long as our dog skills are good.
Why did you bet the rest of our pay?
I thought you could beat them. You beat them the first game.
So did I. To the ship.
Right.
You can lay in a course, you'll love it.
Yay! 3.4!